We are going to show you 2 recipes to enjoy together on Día de Muertos: Pan de Muerto and Cinnamon Atole. It's our family tradition to make these 2 delicious recipes every Día de Muertos. We love them, and we'd like to share them with you. Every year we celebrate Día de Muertos.
This is what we eat and drink.
Let's start with the Pan de Muerto. Start off by grating the zest of an orange. Be sure to only include the orange part of the peel, not the white part, as it tastes bitter. Now it's time to activate the yeast to make your sponge. Add 2 tablespoons of flour to a bowl. Add the yeast. Add the warm milk. Mix with a spoon. Add 1 tablespoon of the sugar. Continue mixing until the mixture is smooth. Let sit for 10 to 15 minutes until the sponge doubles in size. Pour your flour out into a pile on a flat surface. Make a well in the middle of the flour. Spread half of the remaining sugar over the flour. Spread the salt over the flour. Add the butter into the well. Lightly knead the flour into the butter. Add the orange zest. Mix and lightly knead. Make a new well and add the whole egg and the egg yolks into it. Add the orange blossom water into the well. Incorporate the flour into the egg. Knead for 2 minutes or until the dough barely sticks to the surface. Flatten the dough a little and add the remaining sugar. Knead for 1 minute, then flatten the dough again. Add the sponge that you have set aside into the flattened dough. If you notice that the sponge isn't growing, it's because your yeast has expired. Start again with new yeast. Mix together to incorporate the sponge into the dough. Now it's time to start the intense kneading. After everything is incorporated, start slapping the dough down on the table, like this. Once the dough is sticking together well, fold it after each time you slap it down, like this. Continue kneading and folding until your dough stops sticking to the table. Then start flipping the dough, like this. If you're kneading by hand, this will take about 40 minutes. If you're using a stand mixer, it will take 10 to 15 minutes. Check if your dough is ready by pulling it apart between your fingers. If it is thin and transparent, your dough is ready. If it breaks apart in your fingers while you pull, keep kneading. Shape the dough into a ball. Transfer it to a bowl greased with oil. Rub some of the oil onto the dough. Cover with a damp towel. The dough will rise faster if it is kept in a warm place. We kept ours inside our oven, on-off, with the light on and the door slightly open. Leave in the warm place for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. If you don't have somewhere warm to leave the dough, it will take longer to rise. Deflate the dough by lightly punching it. If your dough hasn't risen, your yeast was not active enough. For how to fix this, refer to the description of this video. If you find value in this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends.
If you do, YouTube is gonna show it more.
Shape the dough into a cylinder. Cut into 3 pieces with your scraper, making 1 piece smaller than the others. The other 2 should be about the same size. Set aside the small part. Begin forming each of the remaining pieces into a ball, one at a time, like this. Transfer them both to a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. When you place them on the sheet, put the seam at the bottom, touching the paper. Bring your small piece of dough to the table. Sprinkle about a tablespoon of all-purpose flour into the dough. Mix until the flour is incorporated. This dough will be slightly more dry than the other 2 pieces. Cut it in half. Cut each half into 3 equal pieces. Shape 4 of the pieces into cylinders of about 5 inches or 12 centimeters long. Press each cylinder in the middle with your finger and roll to make it thinner. Repeat the process in the middle of each side of each cylinder, like this. These are the tiers of the bread. which will be placed on top. Brush the 2 loaves on your baking sheet with water. Do this in a crisscross pattern, like this. Crisscross the tiers on top of the bread, like this. Brush water onto the center of the cross. Shape the remaining 2 pieces into balls. These are the size of the bread, which will be placed on top of the tiers. Leave the loaves to rest in a warm place for about an hour.
While you make your dough to rise...
Okay, I'll just do it.
Okay.
I'll just do it. While you wait for the dough to rise, make your cinnamon atole. Add 2 cups of water to a pot and bring to a boil. Add 4 large cinnamon sticks and cover. Turn the heat down to low. Boil for 20 minutes to make cinnamon tea. Remove the cinnamon sticks. Add 4 tablespoons of maple syrup and 2 cups of milk. We use cashew milk, but any milk will do. Whisk together. In a small container, add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and then 2 tablespoons of water. Stir to incorporate the cornstarch into the water, then add to the pot. Whisk again and bring to a boil. Once it's boiling, remove from the heat and set aside.
Atole is a popular drink to have with Pan de Muerto.
But there's another that is equally popular.
Hot chocolate.
We'll show you some delicious ways to make it in another video.
Now it's time to bake the bread.
Remove the loaves from the warm place. You should notice that they have risen. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius. If you are using a convection oven, preheat to 320 degrees Fahrenheit or 160 degrees Celsius. Bake the bread for 20 minutes. Remove from the oven and let cool on a wire rack for at least 20 minutes. Julia and Annabelle will show you how to decorate and sweeten your bread. We've enjoyed showing you how we celebrate Día de Muertos. If you also celebrate, write us a comment and tell us how.
It's delicious. Delicious.